Hi, this is Tim from MarketXLS.com. In this video, I'm going to show you some features in MarketXLS to help you get started with it. So we'll talk about the functions, we'll talk about the historical data, we'll talk about technical analysis you can do with MarketXLS. We'll talk about how to go about running technical analysis in groups. We'll also talk about pattern scan reports. We'll talk about charts. We'll talk about portfolio management and optimization. And we'll go over a few utilities. MarketXLS gets a lot of information in your sheets. Before we go any further, I want to show you a quick setting that will define how we get that information in MarketXLS. So click on Settings and Help. Click on the Settings button and the Settings form will open. You'll see this group of selections. That's where you tell MarketXLS about where you want the new information to come in. When you select Selection, the data will come one cell below and to the right of your selected cell. If you select Ask Me, MarketXLS will give you a prompt and it will ask you to select the cell where you want the data. If you select New Sheet, essentially all the data will come in a new sheet. For the purpose of this demonstration, I'll keep Selection as my choice. Now let's get started with MarketXLS functions. To do any analysis on stocks, we first need stock symbols or tickers. Right now, as you can see, we do not have any stocks in our sheet. So let's go to the Utilities dropdown. That's where you have some pre-made lists available to you, which is constantly updating. You can have market movers for exchanges. You can have option chain or dividend history. Let's start with maybe S&P 500. Now that we have symbols in our sheet, we can start using MarketXLS to get any information we want for these symbols. We can use Excel's built-in function browser to see all the functions that are available. When you open the functions browser, you will see these 4 categories that appear, which MarketXLS has added to Excel. You can select any of these categories to browse through the functions which are available. Now, since we're dealing with stocks, let's focus on stock functions. To use a specific function, simply start typing the function, and Excel's built-in IntelliSense will suggest various close options that are available. Let's get the last prices for some of these stocks. Similarly, you can use any of the 100+ functions which are built into MarketXLS to get information about these stocks in your sheets. Now, functions work in 2 modes, individual mode and group mode. You can change their setting in the Settings form, so go to Settings, click on Settings button, and you would see this group of choices here. Let me quickly explain the key differences between these 2 modes. When functions run in individual mode, each cell in Excel is an individual thread, and each cell calls MarketXLS API to get new information when you recalculate Excel. Now, this is okay when you have, say, 500 symbols to work with, maybe 2 or 3 parameters. But if you have a huge list of symbols, let's say 1,500 symbols or more, and you need 100 KPIs for all of those 1,500, you'll be making no less than 150,000 calls to the server, which may slow down your Excel sheet. And that's where the group mode comes in. In group mode, you can collect all these symbols in a list, and you get all the information about these symbols in one API call. Store that information temporarily in your PC, and this information is then delivered to individual Excel cells without Excel having to call the API for each cell. Now this mode is very fast and very efficient and works very well. Let me quickly show you how to use group mode. Close the form. To use this mode, you simply need to tell MarketXLS which list of stocks you want to call. MarketXLS has a built-in list management tool which can not only assist in this purpose, but can also be used as a standalone list management system to store your watch list or other collection of lists. To create a list, simply click on My Symbols. You can click on Add Symbols to select a group of cells that have symbols, and save all these selected symbols as a list. Or you can click on Scan Symbols, which will scan all the symbols in your workbook, and it will automatically take care of duplicates, and if it's a valid stock symbol, and all those aspects of symbols. You can click on Save List As, give your list a name, and simply load the list. So once you load the list, MarketXLS understands that you're dealing with these stocks. And now you can simply get the user formulas in the normal way. So you have an ask price for all S&P 500, and it was pretty quick. Let's get the bid prices. Now, in the group mode, you can deal with lots of data in Excel without compromising on performance. However, if you're dealing with a few stocks, let's say below 400 with 30 to 40 KPIs for each stock, the standard individual mode will work just fine, and it's pretty easy to use. Now, this version of MarketXLS also has a built-in timer to let you refresh the data in these functions every 1 minute or 5 minutes. Simply check the relevant option, and your data will refresh accordingly. So now that we've covered functions, let's talk about the next topic, which is historical data. You can get data from multiple stocks at one go. All data is nicely formatted, and dates are properly handled to save you time. Simply click on the cells that have the symbols and click on these buttons on the menu. So let's select a group of cells that have symbols and press Get their minute data. We can also select their yearly data. And similarly, we can also get historical data from them as well. Click on Custom Dates, select the dates, the from date and to date. Let's get it till 2015. Go to that. Okay, so that's how easy it is. Now that we have open, high, low, close, and volume data, we can move on to our next topic, which is performing technical analysis on this data. All these technical analysis functions work on any open, high, low, or closed data you may have. You do not necessarily need to have data produced by MarketXLS. Now, calculating technical indicators is very easy with MarketXLS. Click the indicator you want to calculate. Select the data, pass on some parameters, and tell the location of the results. And you have all these indicators available in conveniently located dropdowns. Let's try triple exponential moving average on the closed prices. So, select the closed prices. Now MarketXLS will give you prompts for some parameters that you will need to pass on. But if you're happy with the default values, you can just click on OK and give it a cell to place the results. And that's it. Similarly, you can use any of the indicators listed above to calculate it. Select Open, High, Low, or Close. Select the volume series and select a cell for the result. You may also run indicators in groups. To do that, go to the Groups and Patterns dropdown. Click on Run Indicator Groups. So here you can select a group of indicators that you want to calculate on specific data series. Let's say I want to calculate all overlap indicators. Select the category, or you can also select individually. Click on Run Selected, pass on the required data, select the volume series, and give it a cell for the results. You can also run pattern indicators the same way as well. Pattern series, however, will only be a binary result, which will mean that they will either be a 0 or a non-zero. A 0 means there was no pattern, and anything which is a non-zero would mean there was a pattern. In most cases, we would see a 100 or a negative 100 when there was a pattern that was found. Let's try running a pattern indicator. Select Open, High, Low, or Close. Select a cell for the results. Now let's look at the pattern scan report. Let's get the data from some other stock. Click on Pattern Scan. provide the data, select a cell for the result. Now this will return a full pattern scan report on your data, which will tell how many times a pattern appeared in your data series, how many times the price increased and by what percent, and how many times the price decreased and by what percent. So essentially, it tells you what are the most frequent patterns in a specific data series, and historically, what has been its impact on the price. If you see a pattern in this report, which happens quite frequently, and it leads to a considerable amount of increase in your price, if you assume that this behavior will continue, you have an indicator to watch for. Okay, let's talk about Stock Screener in MarketXLS. Now, the Stock Screener in MarketXLS will allow you to filter through stocks on the basis of key fundamental indicators and ratios for the past 10 years. So click on Screener. Now, in the screener, you can find any stock by simply entering the name of the stock here. Click on Find, and you have 10 years of information about that specific stock. You can right-click on any column header, click on Column Chooser, and double-click on the column that you want to get. You can also drag a specific column out of the window, the ones that you do not need. So once you have your data, click Throw in Excel, and you will have all this data in Excel. You can also use the built-in filter editors in both text and visual mode to filter the stocks by a specific criteria. So let's say you want to get all the stocks where the revenue is more than 100 million US dollars, and the stocks wherein the margin is greater than 50%. Click on Throw in Excel, and you will have all this data in your Excel sheet. Now, let's look at charting with MarketXLS. MarketXLS charts are optimized for financial series visualization. The charts are made in a way to make it as fast as possible to quickly visualize any dataset without going through any settings at all. The charts try to figure out your data and give you the results. The charts are zoomable, can be maximized, and you can open as many charts as you want. To create a chart from the dataset, simply select any data point within your dataset and click on Line Plot. The charts will also try to identify if the content of the column that you're trying to plot is a date or time content, and it will accordingly plot it on the x-axis. You can zoom these charts by clicking on Shift and dragging your mouse. You can also maximize the charts. The selection that you make of the data points does not need to be a continuous selection. You can simply click on Control and select multiple columns, and click on the chart. So let's try plotting upper band, lower band, and middle band with the close prices of the stock. MarketXLS does the other charts as well, like candlestick charts and bar plots. But to keep this video short, I'm going to go over only the line plot. These charts work with any dataset, and not just data produced by MarketXLS. So let me make a random dataset here and show you how it works. Now let's talk about portfolio management with MarketXLS. To perform portfolio management, simply right-click on any cell, and you'll see this new contextual menu that appears wherein you are able to add your portfolios, list them, delete them, rename them, and similarly, you can add transactions in the portfolio. You can add multiple transactions. You can list all the transactions in any portfolio, and you can delete the transactions. So in a way, these two menus perform most of the operations around adding or deleting transactions and portfolios. So to add a portfolio, simply give a name to your portfolio. Right-click on the cell, click on Portfolio. Click on Portfolio, and click on Add. So now this portfolio is in your database. You can also click on Portfolio and List Portfolio. You can see lists of all the portfolios that you have. You can also right-click on a portfolio name, click on Transactions, and click on List to list down all the transactions which are available in your portfolio. So, as of now, there are no transactions in this portfolio. To add any transactions to your portfolio, simply click on Transactions and click on Add. You will have a form appear, and in this form you will be able to select which portfolio you want to add a transaction in, what symbols you made the transaction on, what the quantity that you bought or sold was, what the date when you performed the transaction is, and what was the price you bought or sold the stock at. Click on Update. Now this transaction is added in your portfolio. Similarly, you can add as many transactions as you want in your portfolio. Not only can you use this form to add transactions to your portfolio, but you can add multiple transactions in your portfolio in a go by simply exporting the data from anywhere and importing it in Excel and right-clicking on any cell. Click on Transaction. Click on Add Multiple Template. Now this Add Multiple Template will give you all the template and instructions, and you simply need to populate the information below and click on the first column and right-click and click on Add Multiple. That way, you can add multiple transactions to your portfolio. For the purpose of this demonstration, I've already created a portfolio with some transactions, which is P1. So I will right-click and see some transactions here. Okay, so this is my portfolio. And once you have your portfolio and transactions set up in the system, you can simply click on the name of the portfolio and click on Dashboard. When you click on Dashboard, this dashboard will show you all the analysis and details about your portfolio. It will calculate not only your existing performance, but it will also try and find out an optimal performance of your portfolio. So in this portfolio dashboard, as you can see, this is your total holding. This is the cost that you incurred on the investment that you made overall. This is today's market value. This is the gain or loss absolute value, and this is the return on your investment. And it also gives you the expected monthly return on your portfolio. It gives you the portfolio Sharpe ratio. It also gives you the optimized portfolio Sharpe ratio, which is the maximum return that you can get with minimal risk. And it also gives you the 5-year annual returns of all the stocks in your portfolio. The monthly returns, the daily returns. It gives you the average monthly return versus the standard deviations. So the risk versus the return. You would want these lines to be as flat as possible, because that's where you get the least risk and most return. It also gives you the current allocation of your investments in these stocks and the market value allocation. And it tries to optimize the portfolio for you and tells you if you have your investment in this ratio, it's likely that you're going to have the best Sharpe ratio, which is a maximum return and minimum risk. It will also give you the efficient frontier data. So for each possible combination of proportion on investment in these stocks, it can give you the risk versus the expected return, and you can get that data in Excel and perform further analysis on it. You can also click on any symbol and get the latest balance sheet, the cash flow, and the income statement. And there are some other functions like that. If you want to get the dividend history of any stock, simply select the stock and click on Dividend History. Similarly, you can get all the option chains of this stock by clicking on Option Chains here. Now, this is a very high-level introduction to get you started with MarketXLS, and all the functionality in MarketXLS are modular in nature, so one does not impact the other, but one helps another to boost your productivity when you're researching for stocks or any financial data for that matter. There can be numerous use cases applicable for this software, and that's the beauty of having it in Excel, which is, in a way, a sandbox itself with numerous capabilities. We're looking for your feedback, comments, and suggestions, and we're constantly updating MarketXLS, and we target to have all stock exchanges and numerous utilities in this software to boost your productivity when researching stocks. We hope you like the software. Please feel free to contact us at support@marketxls.com. And thank you very much for being one of the customers of MarketXLS. We look forward to hearing from you.